The organizers wanted to wait. I thought it's better to push it and see if people come out of sheer interest. Now, it's post-lunch. You had, at least for the speakers, there was a pretty good lunch. So most of you will be doing the digestion. Unfortunately, I have to start with a bit of a narcissistic note, which will come after the general introduction. First and foremost, I'm both the chair and I have to present. I'm not going to do a self-presentation. That will be a bit obnoxious. But more importantly, you should note that in this track particularly, we are going to discuss innovations, insights. That means practical applications of different tools in the AI sector and the AI ecosystem, if you can call it AI. Now, first, my presentation, I will try to keep it short because we are a bit late, as you may have realized. 20 minutes, no less. So, first and foremost, I'm just going to walk first. You can see the topic of the presentation has to particularly do with the digital ecosystem and Cobots, which is the helping robots powered by different deep learning algorithms to support human activities. Now, let me just jump through it very quickly before I jump to the next speakers, and a bit of context. I'm the vice president at Woxsen University, which is out of Hyderabad in India. Vice president means the provost, basically all the academic activities. However, on the other hand, I work primarily in the area of applied machine learning and deep learning tools combined with certain robotics as in the areas of aviation sector, healthcare, energy sector. Though I'm an academician, I mostly work with corporates. So that corporates are the likes of Qatar Airways, Saudi Cargo, the Saudi Arabian government, and so on and so forth. One of the tools that we have developed, and this was done both in India, Singapore, as well as Saudi, and part of it in Europe as well, is the Cobots segment. We've done them in-house. So do not think as a university we are there to do some fancy research, publish it, nobody will read it, and do some teaching. That's not what we do. We focus a lot on particularly actual robotics for the end-to-end and the manufacturing unit, the deployment, and the marketization of it as a company subset of it. So I'm not going to run you through all the presentation. There are some 29 odd slides, which my technical team has very kindly put together, but we have no time for that. I will primarily run through the actual products we have already on the market, already deployed with different companies. And then if you have any questions, you can ask me at the end of the chair, which will be around 4 p.m. Let me just jump to this. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the term of cobots. You may have heard it before, you may not have heard it before, but primarily it's coming out of the assumption that robotics and tech is harmful to humans and is harmful to the ecosystem of workplace and support systems in different techniques. Will these technologies take over employment and jobs? Yes. When? Yesterday. Already happened. Now the question is not a replacement system, it's a support system to the current activities. I'll give you some examples which we have deployed. You can see some of the general terminologies such as human-centered design and the likes, which is done by our School of Design, which is the UX, UI, product design orientation. So the beauty is, as a university, when you have 7 odd schools ranging from business to natural sciences, product design, and technology, you have the expertise in-house. So you can always build that as a collaborative environment. Now, let me just show you. First product that we have launched in the market, the discharge robot. That has a production cost of around 7 lakh rupees, which I know there are some Indians in the audience. For the non-Indians who don't understand Indian rupees, that will be around nearly 6,000 odd euros on plus minus, including all the development charges. It's not expensive, it's pretty cheap, but it's done at a university, so the cost of production is basically academicians and the students, mostly PhD scholars who developed it from various angles. All of this, if it's a fiber-carbon production, is the material, and that is mainly used for 2 key activities. First activity, we have deployed this in front-facing consumers. In our own university, when parents and students come to the campus, no human welcomes them to the campus or to do a tour or anything. This particular robot does facial identification and understands their social media profiles, who they are, and pitches the campus, the programs, according to the person who is been front-facing at that point in time. We have around 7 of them. We have a 300 acres campus, so all of them are around the campus for different activities, from a sports academy, to the academics, to the faculty, to the entire infrastructure, the programs, the fees, etc. Other non-educational segments, we have deployed this in airports. Those who are from India, you know Hyderabad Airport is a majorly domestic airport, a small international terminal. For the domestic terminal, we also have deployed this for guiding the passengers. For those who are from Spain, I don't know, there is one, I don't know about the rest. We also are working right now with two key airports. One is Madrid-Barajas Airport, and the other is in the region of Galicia, which is the northwest region of Spain. So I'm from Spain, by the way. That's why Spain in the first place. So these kind of tools are deployed there. We also deploy them in corporate buildings, particularly for guiding the employees in the HR functions. So these are a 24/7 robot to guiding employees in different aspects whenever they want to consult something. And it's a very simple cost of production. However, the software is where the complexity lies. There are nearly 5 neural networks combined. We also want to optimize it with different processors. We work with NVIDIA for that. And we're also working right now with other corporations to improve the software further. If you ask me, what is the mobility of this kind of robot? Well, as you can see, it has wheels, it's restrictive, you need to have a flat surface, it does not do stepping, so consequently it's designed for floors, it's not designed for step-up buildings. And obviously it's designed for flat surfaces. That's how we develop it. This is a cobot. This supports the human interfacing. This supports the human activities, does not replace it. But it serves as a tool for improvement of experience. So this is where the term of customer or consumer or human experience comes in. And this is anyways expanding further. Second one, and that primarily comes because in Hyderabad and the south of India, there is a lot of builders and a lot of residential complexes. We also work with the housing authority in Saudi for this, building health monitoring system. So this particularly measures various aspects, such as the material quality, the pillars, the slabs, as well as the overall plasticity of the construction. It also measures weather issues and weather changes and influence of that on the materials. This is quite relevant for places where there is an aggressive weather condition. This is more present, particularly in the eastern coast of India and the western coast, basically the coastal areas, and less in the center because it's landlocked. But however, the temperature increment also affects the concrete and the materials. So these sensors produce that live data for the organization or the institution or the builder to ensure the quality of the materials and the construction is at best, at the peak. And it's a continuous process. This is all loaded in Amazon Web Services, AWS-centric. You can always put it in your data center, and this ultimately gives you the entire quality control of the building without any human intervention. That's also there. This is produced by bachelor degree students, basically students at the age of around 20, 22 years old. And it's done from their end, and it's then expanded back into the PhD program. So this is a PhD thesis, basically. Surveillance robot. I think this is quite self-explanatory. This is the original prototype. I'm not showing you the commercial aspect because it depends on the company that has sponsored it. But the prototype is basically following a centralized system, a bit dodgy and unethical if you like, particularly if you look at different European lens. But, well, we operate in India, there's nothing called privacy, so we don't care. So consequently, we monitor everyone as and when we feel like it. And consequently, we track down facial recognition, voice recognition, activities, as well as their social media. Quite intrusive, I agree, but pays the bills, so that's all right. And companies are willing to pay for it as well, because companies want to monitor this. This is mostly focused on companies who are operating on GCC, not the area in the Middle East. GCC is the basically call centers and the outreach call centers who are based mostly in India for the Americas and Europe, who ensure, and more importantly, their employees have a job profile which is desk-based. So when they're not at the desk, then problem. So consequently, it's in the best interest to ensure that all the manpower, and I'm talking about thousands of them across different offices, are where they should be, because otherwise the performance does not happen. It's as simple as that. Will you ask me that this will work with the GDPR in Europe? Most likely not. But we are not selling it in Europe, so again, we don't care. So we operate in the Indian market primarily. This will work in countries like Singapore. This will work in countries like China. You work in China, you know that. This works wonders. So all these three products, once again, let me reiterate, are cobots, which are basically conducive for human design intervention, human experience. These are developed from the bachelor's to the PhD level of students, and of course with assistance of the university and the faculty. And these are commercialized by the students themselves, because that is how they create their own startups. All of these are startups. This is a startup, the building health monitoring is a startup, this is also a startup. All of them come from there. This is the next generation of modern robotics, basically. That's how it comes across, that human design intervention. Not just fancy immigration systems in airports, but actually support systems for human experience. Let me just show you 2 key challenges before we are out of time. Issues that companies and individuals raise continuously. The ethics part, the safety part, all of that we know, we are well aware. The first statement that individuals and companies normally raise to us on the products is, what about the safety for a collaborative environment where robots or tools of this nature do not overtake the human factor and don't affect the performance of the psyche of the individual? We don't have an answer for that. Neither I have the data to give you an answer for it. Does a real threat exist for human interventions because of these products? I personally don't think so. It's mostly a collaborative environment. But yes, if there is no upskilling of individuals, then they will exist. The second one, which I will show you. Employment and automation. Again, the same old. Just yesterday, a bunch of CHROs from various companies were raising this concern again, that this will represent an employment threat to the current generation. Agreed, it will, but that is what it is about. This is an industrial revolution. It happens, it will happen, accept it, suck it in, and upskill. There is no escape from it. This enhances outcomes. In our experience collecting feedback from the stakeholders that interact with these products, particularly the Disha robot, they are much more satisfied, particularly as employees, because they have a tool that they can consult anytime. It has an app also, so it's not just the robot, it's linked on the app. So you can consult your salary, your HR policies, any issues with your employment, your leaves, anything you want through the robot. You want to ask any questions, you can do it. You want to fix meetings in the calendar, you can do it. Everything is done through that particular tool. So the satisfaction levels have risen drastically on that regard. But of course, data is still being collected to create a pattern that this is actually true across demographics over a period of time. And going pretty quick, but anyway. What I would like to leave you with, because I want to just not delay this too much. What I want to leave you with is, I could not bring it with me, by the way. Qatar Airways did not allow me to bring the Disha robot. It's quite large. It's basically this height from the ground, so it's quite big. Did not fit in cargo, it seems. So all of these tools, particularly, mainly are developed for improving precision, the accuracy, and the quality of experience. Our main focus of developing these cobots is from a cognitive psychology perspective, not from a technological perspective. It's a very different orientation. It's from an archetype-based, I don't know how many of you come from or have any background in psychology, but from a Carl Jung archetype-based orientation of the human behavior. So from there, we developed these tools, not the reverse. We did not look at a gap and develop the technology. We look at the behavior and we develop the technology in that. So that's how it got developed in that particular track. All right? Now, as I mentioned, if you have any questions for me in particular, you can do it at the end of the sharing because I have to continue through. As you can see, I had to introduce myself, present myself, and now present somebody else so they can continue. Since we are delayed, I think you are the one next. Who is